All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here. This post Traders Talk edition here of our afternoon meeting, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to see Grant, great to see Ari, John, and all of us otherwise live inside the cyber group. Michael and Leda joining as well. Great to see all of them. Great to see all of you on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. So let's hop right into it, folks. We don't have class this afternoon formally. I do have a coaching at 3, but we got a little time here. We can take our time here, kind of recap at least some of the stocks that we ended up trading from earlier today, and then from that point, of course, rescan the market, see if there's anything lastly that we could put on our list here heading into the afternoon. So ISIG, it's the stock on the screen just to begin, ended up making a really nice pop as soon as the market opened up. We did not talk about this stock too much within the Traders Talk workshop. We had a couple of other bigger runners that we ended up putting the focus on, but otherwise, hey, if you're inside the live trading room, if you had missed out on the weekly workshop Traders Talk earlier this morning, that's going to be up on the student portal coming up later this afternoon for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. I'm referring to a trading room exclusive workshop. If you wanted to join us live, I'll tell you what to do at the end. But for right now, ISIG, well, hey, it ended up popping out the gate. That made it very difficult for us to get in right away, right? We're not trading the stock within the first 3 to 5 minutes, let alone any other stock within the first 3 to 5 minutes. But much like we talked about actually from the last two Traders Talk workshops, talking about these stocks that get halted and they reopen up, the opening halt print on this stock was right at $18.30. It was like a 292 some odd thousand share print that got filled on the tape. Well, we followed the big money here at CTU, right? So you could see how well of a level that became. Ended up propelling this stock all the way up towards 23 and above. And then from here on out, though, this point here, making a lower high, coming back down. I'm hopeful that this ends up giving us one last pop, but don't be on the wrong side of this trade. Much like it ended up running up for us back in the beginning of this month, we ended up seeing a drop off just a couple of days later. And there's no guarantees this will make a day over day run like it made back in the beginning of this month. So hey, I'd love to put this on our main list. Little reluctant to so far. I'll come back to this at the end. If it ends up popping, God bless. I'll put this at the top of our watch list here. Just as more of a level 5 stock, you want to see better direction. This is not a level 5 stock, but it's showing great direction here. CPOP, we had called this one out at least after the market opened up, and a couple of us inside Cyber, John and Grant, namely, had called the stock out just a moment ago, popping up to 250. Yeah, and if anything, finally, it's like not even 250, 240 almost is, a bigger level. I want to say equally as important. Myself and Felix were watching this in a coaching session earlier today, and this was, of course, after the initial pop and run. But we ended up seeing some big prints on the tape get filled exactly at 240. And at the time, right here, jumped in. It seemed good. It smelled good. It had the makings of a nice runner. It popped up as high as 268 there, it looks like, or 265. Damn, this thing came back down within the same bar, and you know what's going to happen when that happens. Myself and Felix pulled 5 cents out of the trade. Happy we got a profit, but man, this thing came right back down after. So normally, with that in mind, that's typically the end of the run. Stock's not going to make a big move back up. Well, look at this. Ended up showing that second win type of move. Not only that, but it actually pushed it up back up to the highs here, 250 and above. Of course, it's got to hold over 240, in my opinion, for this to be a real runner. If this ends up just pulling right back and holding under 240, then it's not worth it. So, hey, we'll put this on our list to begin, the CPOP. Hopefully, there's a lot more life to this trade here heading into the final, 90 minutes of our day. For as much as this stock dropped from back in, oh, is this a new IPO even? Back from July. Wow, I thought there was more history to this trade. New IPO from early July and ended up taking off. Then literally the next day it took off, just going down. So this hasn't had really too many clean moves to it. I guess back in late October, there was some sort of pop here. I'm sure that we had called it out. It was trading 8.3 million shares that day. I don't honestly remember. So just to say, at least for right now, we hope to see this make another push here heading into the close, the CPOP trade. All right, we'll jump ahead. We'll jump around a little bit. I should say the BBIO stock, not one that we'll put on our watch list at this point, but it was one that was down 70+% yesterday. Pretty similar to the ALLK stock. And again, same to be said on that. You don't want to hold your breath waiting for that gap fill type of move. You certainly hope for it, but you don't want to hold your breath waiting for it. So going back to the BBIO trade, well, hey, at least this one ended up showing us a nice little move at first. And it continued going, but man, it got pretty choppy. It ended up making a nice steady push with higher lows, and it broke a higher high here. But heading into the mid to late morning, there's normally not as much momentum at that time of the day compared to the morning here. So, or at least compared to the early morning. So, you know what I mean with that. Ended up continuing to push up until it didn't. Ended up making a false breakout over 1350 the second time right here, and that was all she wrote, it seems like. So, yeah, I mean, if it was shortable, then that could be a different story, but this BBIO doesn't seem like it wants to move back up here heading into the afternoon. We got Mike here. Mike on his donut trade. I don't know if he day trades this or solely swing trades it, but I know he's happy with the move this stock has made today. DNUT ended up making a nice little push after the open, but it kept going, as you could see, more so heading into the mid-afternoon, 1:30 Eastern time. It broke above a major resistance here. I would assume that to be 18 major resistance. I will jump back to my histogram here. 18, bunch of big volume that got filled at that point. You could also say, though, more so even than 18, 1770, 1760. Now, granted, is that the actual high of the day? Was that the major chart resistance? It seems like it. All right, so 1770 definitely is a major support should this shake. Otherwise, 18 would be the first support to come up here. For right now, though, easily with this near the highs heading into the afternoon and more actually with that, the liquidity. It has good liquidity today. This stack normally doesn't, but today it does. DNUT, we'll put this on our main list. All right, what else did we trade here, folks? We had the BVXV trade. This one was more so called out heading into this afternoon, kind of a dump off from the market open. So it's up 9% right now, but it was trailing down heading into the open. And, we know what's more often to happen with a stock that's just straight trending down at this point heading into the market open like that. So, one of our traders called it out off 250, 50-cent level and pushing up a little bit here, some green coming in on the tape. I'll look at this at the end if I need to. I like that it's pushing up right now. Not fully committed to this trade just yet, though. I think that was Ari who wrote that in the chat board just before. We had the PTPI trade also. PTPI was more from the mid to late morning, ended up dumping off, as you could see, actually more by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But at least at first, it ended up making a nice pop when the market opened up from 360 up to basically 385. And then it gave us that second win type of move where it took off again from like 370-ish, 375. And this time took off all the way up to the high of the day of 408. But again, though, with this PTPI stock, Norman had phrased it. I forgot the exact verbiage he used, but just referencing just another day of it being choppy, just something of that nature. And at the time, I looked, and I was like, yeah, I remember off the top of my head, this has been a kind of choppy stock. So I agreed, from my end here. But you look at the daily chart. Look at the daily chart. This is the definition of choppy. look at the daily chart. It's on a steady trend off the lows, granted, but it's like been through the spin cycle here. Just looking at all these bigger bar days where it took off, pulled back, dumped off. It ended up taking off, popped higher, dumped back down. Rinse and repeat, it seems like, on this trade. It's just to say, once this ends up breaking the trend off the lows, that is going to be one ugly shake. I will tell you that much. Right now for this afternoon, not a whole lot happening, at least here. All right, so what we'll do is go from top to bottom. Otherwise, I think we started off, if I'm not mistaken, on the ISIG trade. So yeah, this one, not a whole lot happening just yet. And for any of the other movers that we ended up catching from this morning, we'll call them out or at least go over them pretty quickly. PIXY, one of them at least. PIXY ended up making a nice pop, as you could see, going into the early to mid-afternoon. Took off really from like 95 cents once it broke the high. And at that point, that's when we ended up finding it. We called it out when it broke the new HOD. It was up a little bit percentage-wise, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that we caught this at the bottom. We caught this right at the market open. No. We called this out really even more so than that when it was approaching $1. I know that Rich was making this call out when I was in a couple of coaching sessions throughout the day. I saw him, write the call out off $1, pushed up pretty nicely at that point. Unfortunately, though, it ended up topping off at 125, but really 120 was the big level to watch. And namely here, it made a big false breakout. right back down. So nice trade while it lasted, the PIXY stock, and we are pretty familiar with this trade dating back to mid-October. Ended up making a big pop and drop back then. Oh, look at this RELI trade. RELI, I guess, trying to show some signs of life on the way up, popping from 590 up to 606 currently. This thing is just this was a big bust this morning, and we talked about this stock at least during the Traders Talk workshop, our weekly Q&A cyber group exclusive workshop. So it's to say, hey, the selling that kicked in pre-market at 725, that ended up controlling the stock, and once it tanked below there heading into the open, there was really no looking back. At least perhaps up until now. So, for the meantime, it ended up bottoming out right around 575, 570, that is. And I guess trying to squeak up here. I don't really have a desire to put this on our main list right now. I just know typically, historically, going into this week, it's better to be safe than to be sorry. For this stock that ended up dumping all the way back down today, is it as likely to move all the way back up? I doubt it. So, we'll come back to this at the end. I would love to add this to our list. I would, but we'll see if there's any perhaps even better. Not this. All right, keep it going. This doesn't look like a bad chart. Does not look like a bad chart whatsoever. The order book really isn't that bad either. Tiny spread right now, or 3-cent spread right now, I should say. But the order book is relatively liquid. Looks like there's a massive gap fill opportunity. And tried to fill going back into the beginning of this year. BCLI dumped back down. Not to assume it's going to fill this gap anytime soon, but for as much as it dropped, when are we going to see it begin to move back up? I like the chart. So this BCLI, I don't mind slipping this on our list so far. A little spotty chart, but otherwise good order book. We'll see if this can keep going for right now. CYTO, not a whole lot happening here, and we'll keep it moving. I saw Rich call out this ENSC trade, got halted, reopened up. Unfortunately, it was a dud after. Reopened up at $4.80 as the opening print price right there. You could tell from the open on that bar. Well, failed to break higher from 480. Once it fell back down under it, that was it. All right, so we'll kind of just skim through the gainers side here first, folks. Market was pretty flat, then dropped. Now it's flat again. I think it's going to drop a little bit more heading into the afternoon or maybe overnight. So maybe there's going to be some stocks that are, down near the lows. That could be a potential short opportunity should that come to fruition. Man, there is nothing really out there on the gainer side otherwise. Just going to do one more quick skim through, like, KNDI maybe, YMM. I don't know this ticker. Yeah, that's just about it. All right, we'll hop over to the loser side right now. Probably need a little help from all of us on social media, for all of us on or in the trading room, that is. Folks, let me know if there's anything that I'm missing at least, but we'll see. BFRI getting clobbered. It's hard to borrow. You can't short it. So I would have been all over this at least earlier today. We were calling this out when it ended up making the drop down to 10. And then from there, just snapped right lower. And with that, bunch of stuff hard to borrow. Otherwise, on the top of the losers list. And that takes me to number 21, Mara, which is near the lows. Michael pointed that out just a moment ago. So, I'm not going to talk Bitcoin today. We'll do that more tomorrow. But it's to say, I wasn't surprised. We were expecting a drop off on Bitcoin. And with that, Riot and Mara are likely to go with it, and perhaps the major indices otherwise. So, that's why Mara is down over 11% today. Riot's down just about over 9%, et cetera, et cetera. With that, though, could they be good trades heading into the close? Well, these Bitcoin related stocks, they rarely end up making a better move in their original direction going into the close. So that's where I say keep a more keen eye on, like, the SPY chart here. Keep a more keen eye, of course, on Bitcoin if you're following Mara or Riot. Oftentimes we see them begin to reverse this time of the day. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll trade the direction either way. But for right now, if this could snap over 35, this could be an interesting dead cat bounce opportunity here for the Mara trade. Norman says SCHR is shortable. Did I? Oh, I skipped over that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's not near the lows really. And, tradable stock, good spread and all of that, but don't have a huge desire to put it on our list. And you could say the same with Mara, but we're kind of just following this based off what the market does, what Bitcoin does. There's a little more volatility on this trade, I think, in my opinion. A little more expensive too, mind you, but for right now, I feel a little more comfortable on the Mara trade. CODX, sheesh, what goes up comes back down, I reckon. Oh my God. I mean, it's shortable right now, down big, right? That has all of the makings of putting this on our list. And with that, I'll do that, I guess, right? If I put the Mara trade on our list, then it would be hard to not put this one on when this is right at the lows. It's easy to borrow on the way down, good liquidity. CLSK near the lows, not a whole lot happening though just yet. We'll pass. All right, folks, that just about does it for me across the gainers and losers, at least. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%, definitely type it in the chat board. Definitely let me know. There's absolutely more stocks down over 5% that we haven't checked out yet. Don't need to look at them all, but if there's definitely, or if there's something that you would want me to look at, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. I think we said we'd check out the ISIG trade at least, maybe one or two stocks we said we'd come back to at the end of this meeting. So, ISIG is just flat. If it ends up popping, we'll call it out when it pops. We're not going to try and follow that if it's not going to give us a good move. And, with the Rely trade, I'm not fully convinced yet. It ended up pushing over 6-year briefly, and that's nice. But I want to see a lot more on this before I look to continue to call it out. Meaning that if it ends up popping more and we have to chase it a little bit from a higher price, if there's more signs of life on the way up from there, I wouldn't mind doing that. Right now, it's just not a whole lot happening. You're more just wishful than anything that this is just going to hold over 6 and pop. So if you're in right now and it does that, then God bless. I mean, you took the trade from a good level, but I'm not fully convinced yet that it's just going to continue. Ari said PIXY going up. Oh, I guess that was one also I said I'd come back to at the end, was it? I thought it was going to pull back, I reckon, and said that was pretty much it. But nice little pop back up on this PIXY, Ari. It's this type of pop that makes me reconsider, right? Makes me want to put this on our watch list at this point. Norman said it was a double bottom at $1, or roughly right under there, and I agree. This could also be a head fake. We'll put this on our list for right now. Definitely more of a level 1 or level 2 trade, so I feel a lot more, at ease putting this on our list compared to, the ISIG, right? In that regard. If this ends up coming right back down under 110 or 109 and holds under there, I would just move on, right? So hopefully, from this point, we get a nice clean run. All right, folks, I think that just about does it for me here. I got to send out a coaching link for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you'd like to learn more about Cyber Trading University, you do have 2 options. First and foremost, you could join our live trading room Monday through Friday. If you'd like to join going into the new year, you can definitely do that. You could, take the trial right now and have it delayed to begin going into the next week. Otherwise, though, if you're not ready to do that just yet, what you could do is just send over any question, any email, any thought that you may have right over to my email address, josh@c2trading.com, and I'll write back to you within a day or 2 time. All right. But for all of our students right now, like Norman and Michael and Grant, Ari, Leda, etc., hey, folks, right now, with the way this PIXY trade is looking, it's off to a nice start. And hopefully a couple of more from our watch list that end up making a big move. All right. So I'm going to jump onto a coaching call coming up here at 3 o'clock. I'll be back on the mic at 3:30. All right. I'll talk to you all then. Take care.